Well, guys, life happens. That's why we are recording from home this week. However, the fishing is amazing out there. I did have every intention of getting out, but the weather this week in KZN has been amazing and then not so good, and then a bit of rain. And as I was packing my tackle this morning because I couldn't help but plan to go out fishing after hearing this week's reports, well, the rain came through. I packed away my stuff and then the rain cooled down, and it was a mixed bag of do I go, don't I go. It was exactly like what I was talking about last week when I said, you know what, when that window is there, get out there and fish. Well, unfortunately, I never got a chance to. At this time of the year, life happens, as I'm sure it does for most of us. However, something else that is happening is that amazing fishing on KZN. Now, we will get into all of this, and trust me, you want to listen to this week's show, because whether you are looking for inedibles or edibles or even freshwater, KZN has been on absolute fire this week, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. But before I do, huge shout out to my friends fishing in Italy. The SA Surf Championship is on, and our boys are representing us there. And another mention about joining our WhatsApp channel. Guys, Angler News WhatsApp channel, go and check it out. There will be some content out there which you cannot get on these YouTube, Facebook, TikTok threads. So yeah, some exclusive stuff that I'm putting out on that channel. So make sure to go and see that. Now, before we get into this week's show, guys, none of this could be possible without the likes of the Kingfisher. So make sure to go and support them. And after hearing the fish that has come out, you definitely want to go out there and get rigged up for this weekend. And if you're looking for a new ride as the year is coming up, go and check out CMH in Pinetown. That is with the brands of Nissan, Mitsubishi, and Proton. These are the sponsors of our show. And like I said, none of it could happen without them. So let's get into it. Starting off down the south coast, where Adam has been talking about a mixed bag of weather. So although the weather hasn't been consistent, one thing that was consistent was the amount of fish coming out. Now we are talking about some proper size carp, up to 30 kilos. And yes, it was released. Amongst that, there has been some brusher, there's been bream, there's been some good inedible action, hammerheads out of Port Edward, and brusher down at the block. But also in between all those areas, guys, there has been grunter, there has been bronze bream, there's been a huge stone bream out by Amanda. Look at this image. This girl knows how to catch stone bream. I don't know what's the formula, but the next time I'm down there, I'll be sure to give her a call to get a heads up as to what we can expect. As for the weather down the south coast this weekend, it is looking absolutely beautiful. We have got some seas that are between 1.5 to 2 meters, nothing crazy. The weather conditions are looking amazing. So South Coast is definitely going to be producing the goods. Now we are going to get into some areas where the highlight catch has been those big shad. And the reason why we're going to get into this, well, on my podcast today, I've had a report from Jesse at the Kingfisher in Bolito. And there are reports of shad coming out throughout the entire coastline. However, guys, there's something that has to be noted about this. Now, I didn't go on with bag limits, size limits, respecting our future species for a long time, because I was under the impression that anglers were behaving. Or is that probably just what they are scared to put out there now, that the media is keeping an eye on them? Guys, there are a lot of shad coming out, and yes, there are still a fair amount of anglers that are putting them back. But reports from the tackle stores are there are a lot of sardine sales that are happening. There's a lot of shad traces that are being bought, and the reason is because the guys are catching them. And when they are finding out more about this, it turns out that there are anglers out there that are taking between 30 to 40 shad a day. And what is concerning is that, yeah, okay, the excuse is, well, we need to eat, we need to feed our family. Of course, I totally get that. But taking a fish to go and feed your family, I can totally swallow that pill. Taking 30 to 40 fish, that is just excessive, and there is really no reason for this. So one of the things I wanted to touch on before we continue with the report is that, guys, the band season is there for a reason. It is closed for a reason. We need that fish to breed. So when you have a shad at this time of the year, it is usually carrying between 500 to 1,000 eggs. Those fish rolls are full. When you catch that 4-kilo shad, you know this, right? If you were to take away that one single fish, there is no future fish for next year. There is like up to 1,000 less fish next year. Now, yes, those eggs are consumed by the other predators in the ocean, but there's at least about 500 shad that would survive. Now, if you were to take this, multiplied by 40, multiplied by 100 anglers, 200 anglers along our coastline, it makes perfect sense why our shad species are at risk and why we will have less and less fish to catch as the future goes on. As media, as a person that believes purely on catch and release, guys, it is important that we educate our youth. They are seeing all of this. Yes, we cannot change the minds of certain anglers out there. We cannot change the minds of certain older anglers who are just stuck in the ways of just taking whatever they want. But what we can do is change the minds of our future generations and ensure that we have fish to catch in the future. Now, moving back to the fishing report. Like I stopped at Scottburgh, guys. Scottburgh, once again, bream and shad. That has been some good catches coming out this week. Moving on down to Warner Beach and the Manzantoti. Well, there has been one or two odd garrick. There's been a lot of shad coming out. And in between that, there's been some nice sized grunter coming off the surf, as well as a couple bronze bream, and the brusher is still on the bite. So Manzantoti fishing pretty well. The water conditions are looking marvelous. It is not blue is beautiful kind of water. It is that ginger color where we know the cob are on the bite. And speaking of the cob, yes, sorry, there has been some reports of cob coming out more closer towards the river. So that brown ginger beer color is definitely getting those rods bending on that, as well as a few inedibles which you would expect to catch in between that cob. Moving on down to Durban. Well, this week Mike V, he hasn't been at work, but he has been on the socials and he has been chatting with a lot of friends. And guys, there are a lot of fish on the bite. It is mainly inedible action, whether you're chasing sandies, grays, duskies, nurse sharks, honeycombs, brown skates. All of that has been coming out of our Durban waters, as well as, like we said, those huge shad. And if you are chasing some of that snook, there's been tuna, there's been one or two kuta, but the bottom fishing is absolutely, well, I usually say off the hook. It's on the hook. It is crazy amount of bottom fish that are coming out. As for Durban Harbor, guys, there's grunter in there that are truly remarkable. A couple reports of grunter coming out averaging about 7 kilos. We've heard of one being 7.5. There's the odd cob that's coming out, and there's still a fair amount of kingfish that are being caught by the spinning boys, and as well as some springer. Last week, no reports of springer. This week, a good couple reports of springer that's been coming out. So all in all, Durban is absolutely fantastic. Moving on up to the north coast. Well, guys, like we were saying, shad, lots of shad. I mean, like a ridiculous amount of shad that's been coming out. But all we got to do is keep that awareness out there. It's just a couple more weeks, guys. It's 3 more weeks. The season is open, and then go and take your 4. So for now, just respect the close season and respect what our future generations should be having, right? So apart from the shad, there's been bronze bream. There are a fair amount of inedibles, and once again, just like the species that are coming out from Durban, we do have that amount of species coming out on the north coast. Moving on up to Stanger, Blightdales, and Quasi. Brush has been on the bite, Stumpy's been on the bite, but once again, the talk of the town has been that inedible action. If you are looking for what the water conditions are like in those areas from Belito right up to Stanger, well, guys, here's a visual from Martin with a report of what's been going on. And this came through on Wednesday.
Good day, Van Nation, all anglers. I'm down here at Salt Rock, 4 poles. This water is looking absolute stunning. There's a couple of fishermen on my left. I'm not going to video clip them. There are some rods bending, I can see. But yeah, guys, the water is so clean. Definitely worth a cast after work, definitely. From this side, Salt Rock, Martin, over and out.
Thank you, Martin. So guys, that is our reports off the north coast. Oh yes, by the way, Richards Bay, that inedible action is really on fire at the moment. Once again, it is flatties, and if you are looking for that offshore action, guys, it is a tuna fest. I said it last week, I'll say it again. Tuna coming out on a daily basis in those areas. That's all the way up from Richards Bay to St. Lucia. So yeah, looking very good at the moment. KZN, that's our saltwater report. Moving on to the freshwater. Well, guys, what we can tell you is that the bass are on the bite. So no matter which dam you are heading to, whether it's Albert Falls, Midmar, Hazelmere, those private dams, guys, bass action. This is the time. This is the beauty of KZN, because even when the weather is like this, you know you're going to get those rods bending. I mean, yes, we could go and put a line out on the saltwater, but if that wind has to come up and it is not looking so favorable as you are packing your tackle bag, go and head out and get some bass fishing done. Apart from the bass, there's also some good trout that's been coming out. The NFFC has reported some great catches, as well as yellowfish that's still on the bite. And if you're wondering about that stray hippo out at Albert Falls, well, you should still worry, because they haven't found him as yet. However, they have located the owner, and it's only a matter of time before that hippo is back and safe again. So guys, KZN, it is absolutely fantastic. This weekend is poised to be another great one. No matter, like I said, no matter what species you are chasing, whether you are after that inedible action, which is what we were waiting for, or whether you are still looking for that cob from Cobtober, all those bream species to put on the pan, they are out there. And if you just want to go out and fish recreationally and support catch and release, well, hey, do it on the surf, but also go out there and be guaranteed to do it on the freshwater side. Guys, before I round off the show, once again, special thanks to our sponsors, and please go and check out our WhatsApp channel. It is the next big thing where you're going to get your latest news. I'm sure a lot of other media will follow onto this as well. So yeah, go and check out Angler News on WhatsApp. I will drop the link on the description below. When you're out there, guys, remember, it is close season for shad. Please respect those bag and size limits. Keep your fishing area tidy and fish for the future.